Okay, so we will continue now with the other ecosystem, and we are still in the on lake ecosystem. This is a large natural shallow water bodies, and it has, of course, different purposes. And lakes supplied with water from rainfall. It could be from melting snow and also streams. So in the past, we mentioned, or I mentioned, that there are types of lakes, and these are the oligotrophic lakes, the eutrophic lakes, the dystrophic lakes, and then the volcanic lakes. Now we will be jumping now on the next topic, which are the zones of a lake. So lakes are divided into horizontal and vertical zones based on depth and light penetration. I think I mentioned that as well last time. These zones determine the types of organisms that can survive there. The first one is what we call the littoral zone. The littoral zone is the shallow, sunlit area near the shore. So it supports abundant plant life, algae, and animals such as frogs, snails, and insects, making it the most biologically active zone. The other one is what we call the limnetic zone. Limnetic zone. So the limnetic zone is an open surface water away from the shore, so where sunlight still penetrates. Phytoplankton and zooplankton dominate here, forming the base of the aquatic food web. The third one is what we call, oops, profundal zone. So profundal zone lies below the light penetrating layer. It is dark, cold, and has low oxygen levels as well. So organisms here include bottom feeders and decomposers that survive with minimal light. And the last one is what we call the benthic zone. So benthic zone, it is at the very bottom lies this zone composed of mud and organic sediments. So these zone host decomposers, worms, and bacteria that recycle nutrients back into the system. As you can see in this diagram, the littoral zone, limnetic zone, the photic zone are going up to the benthic zone. Next will be the characteristics of lake ecosystem. So to summarize, lakes vary in light penetration, nutrient levels, temperature gradients, and then biodiversity. So each factor influences the productivity and ecological balance of the lake. For the structure and function of lake ecosystem, which is or which are the abiotic and biotic, it is actually almost the same to any ecosystem. Abiotic will be the sunlight, the water, chemistry, the temperature, and then the dissolved oxygen. For biotic, these are, of course, the producers or autotroph, and then any heterotrophs and decomposers as well. So the function of this structure is to maintain energy flow, nutrient cycle, and ecological stability. Okay, this is a very good illustration of a food web and lake ecosystem. Okie dokie. Now, let's begin with another kind of ecosystem, aquatic ecosystem, which is what we call the river or stream ecosystem. So this ecosystem is a flowing freshwater system where water moves continuously in one direction. So from higher to lower elevations. So eventually reaching lakes, seas, or oceans. So these ecosystems are dynamic because the movement of water constantly changes the environment. So these affecting the organisms that live there. Now, it has as well its own characteristics, of course. So, ano ang pagkakaiba nito? What makes it rivers and streams unique? First is the flowing water. So the current transports nutrients, the current, it transports the nutrients, the oxygen, and of course the sediments downstream. It has its own zonation as well. So it has an upper course, which is the source, which is a fast flowing and cold. We have or they have rather the middle course, which is widens and slows down, and then the lower course is deep and nutrient rich. It has a high oxygen levels. Um, why? Because flowing water mixes with air. So supporting fish like trout and salmon. So, in terms of adaptations, organisms like mayfly nymphs or river shrimps cling to rocks, while fish develop streamlined bodies to resist strong currents. So, rivers are systems of constant motion and change where life must adapt to survive. In this graph, make it smaller. Yeah. So in this graph, the y-axis represents the trophic level from producers to predator, and the x-axis represents two pathway. So it's either an open water food chain, that is the pelagic pathway, or a bottom dwelling food chain. This is the benthic pathway. So in the pelagic pathway, the pelagic pathway, um, energy flows through plankton. These are like small like plants, small fish, of course, eaten by larger fish, and then eaten by birds or mammals. On the other hand, in the benthic pathway, energy starts from algae, detritivores, and decomposers at the bottom, then goes to invertebrates, crustaceans, and the bottom feeding fish. So this graph, as you can see in this on the screen, um, shows the energy transfer happens in two directions. So horizontally, that's across pathways, and vertically up to trophic levels. So together, they illustrate the complex interconnection of surface and bottom food webs in aquatic ecosystem. Okay. Next is the saltwater ecosystem. So this actually covers about 71% of Earth's surface. So oceans are vast bodies of saline water that regulate global temperature. So they also store carbon dioxide and support an incredible diversity of life. And this is from microscopic up to gigantic organisms. So they are just water bodies. They are life support systems for the entire planet. Now, even oceans, they have zones. So we have a coastal zone up to the open zone. So oceans basically are divided into two, and that's only the coastal zone and then the open sea. When we say coastal zone, it is the shallow area near the shoreline, as easy to remember as that. So where sunlight penetrates easily. So this zone is highly productive because it supports coral reefs, mangroves, and seagrasses. So it's home to most marine biodiversity. On the other hand, when we say open sea, this extends beyond the continental shelf. So this is the deep ocean where life must adapt to lower lights and fewer nutrients, and it covers the majority of the ocean's volume. Now, the open sea has its own zoning. So we have three. We have the euphotic zone, number two, the bathyal zone, and then the last one is the abyssal zone. Number one, when we say euphotic zone, this is the sunlit upper layer where photosynthesis occurs. So it is rich in phytoplankton, zooplankton, and then fish. Maybe because as well with the presence of oxygen and sunlight. So the euphotic zone forms the base of the entire food web because um, producers are actually there. Next is the bathyal zone. This is the dimly lit middle layer. Now temperatures drop here and light is the wick for photosynthesis. So organisms like squid and lanternfish survive by feeding on particles or smaller organisms from the above. Okay. And the last one is what we call the abyssal zone. So this is the dark, cold, and high pressure zone at the bottom of the sea. So temperatures are nearly freezing here, but life still thrives. So there are animals like tube worms, deep sea crabs, and bacteria feed on detritus or chemosynthetic um, nutrients near hydrothermal vents. Okay. So these layers show how life adapts to decreasing light, temperature, and pressure with depth. Euphotic, bathyal, and abyssal. Okay, let's go now to the characteristics of ocean ecosystem. So, for ocean ecosystem, it has high salinity. The content of ocean salt is actually around 3.5 percentage. It has large temperatures and pressure variation with depth. It has nutrient upwelling that supports plankton growth. Of course, it has a massive biodiversity from corals to whales. but the global importance of it is in oxygen production, climate control, and carbon regulation. In short, the ocean is Earth's heartbeat, sustaining life not only with it but also on hand. Mhm. And lastly, let's move to the fascinating intersection between freshwater and saltwater system. It is called a estuarine ecosystem. An estuary is a particularly enclosed coastal body of water and where fresh water from rivers mixes with salt water from the ocean. So this creates brackish water, a unique environment where with changed salinity levels due to tides and river flow. Okay, so they act as nurseries for marine life, providing safe breeding grounds for fish, crabs, and shellfish. Example will be the Manila Bay Estuary in the Philippines, here in Manila, the Chesapeake Bay in the US, and then the Sundarbans Delta in India and Bangladesh. So common habitats within estuaries are forests, mangrove forests, salt marshes, and tidal flats. So these areas protect coastal regions from storm surges and erosion, filter pollutant, and support richness biodiversity. Mhm. So estuaries are also vital to human communities. They provide food, livelihood, of course, and coastal protection. So in summary, rivers flow and connect land to sea, sustaining freshwater life. Oceans cover most of the earth, shaping animals, supporting vast biodiversity. Um, and estuaries link the two, blending salt and fresh water to create one of the planet's most productive ecosystem. So each one, river, ocean, and estuary, is a living systems where energy flows, nutrients, and life adapts to its environment. So together, mm, I would like to continue exploring about the different ecosystem. It might come up in your exam. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you very much and see you.